Hey guys, welcome to Wrestling Days and welcome to this high five video, the 5 best wrestlers of 2016. This has been tough, real tough, because in truth there's about 20 people that really do deserve to be number 1, let alone in the top 5. Some of the names that have missed out on the top 5, Matt Hardy, broken Matt Hardy I should say, from TNA. In truth, I've just not seen enough TNA this year to really judge how he compares to a lot of the WWE superstars. Asuka, I absolutely love Asuka. I think she's one of the best female wrestlers of all time, but she just hasn't had a challenge. Even her matches against Bayley were not squash matches, but she didn't seem to struggle. She struggled a little against Mickie James, one of the recent takeovers. I believe it's Takeover Toronto. But in truth, I don't even think she's got out of second gear. She's got so much more that she can give. Kevin Owens, someone else that's had a fantastic year and match of the year contenders. He really did just miss out, as did The Miz. Believe it or not, The Miz does not make my top 5. I think that he's had a very good second part to the year, really since WrestleMania, which I believe was early April. Obviously he's held the Intercontinental Championship. He's been in fantastic match of the year contenders. I'm thinking Fatal 4-Way match, which I think was Extreme Rules. And then also he had the matches against Dolph Ziggler, which were absolutely amazing. There's a couple more I have to mention. Samoa Joe has been amazing this year. So dominant, so focused. I have to mention Samoa Joe. I love the man. I can't wait for him to get called up. Keeping everything crossed that he's going to be at the Royal Rumble. And the final person that I want to mention, Kota Ibushi. Now, I've said all year he'd make the top 5. Now I've come to do it. He hasn't. The reason he hasn't is because we've not seen him that much this year in WWE. For me, he was the standout person of the Cruiserweight Classic. But we need to stop talking about who it isn't, and we need to start talking about who it is. So at number 5, Shinsuke Nakamura. I could not leave Nakamura off this list. You're talking about one of the best debuts of all time. I mean, again, his match against Sami Zayn is a match of the year contender. He's got fantastic charisma, fantastic energy. He just delivers. He just delivers. The only reason that he's not higher is because he's not been in it really long enough to kind of really establish himself with that kind of amazing feud. He's had a good feud against Samoa Joe, but for me it didn't reach the heights of Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, and he's not been able to get or have a match for me that's been as good as that debut against Sami Zayn. That's not taking anything away, because that match against Sami Zayn is going to top a lot of people's match of the year lists. So you're potentially saying that he's not had a match better than the best match this year. So you can't really fault the man. He's one of Japan's biggest stars, if not Japan's biggest star. He's the youngest ever IWGP heavyweight champion. You know, this guy has already achieved it all. Really, the only thing that's left for him is to win the WWE championship, and well, maybe that's what 2017 is going to be about. At number 4, Chris Jericho. From drinking it in, to Mitch the Plant, to the scarf, to the list, to the friendship with Kevin Owens. The list goes on and on and on of just all the things that Jericho has done to be interesting and engaging this year. Not only that, he's one of the most technically gifted wrestlers still. And, his match against AJ Styles at WrestleMania was one of the best matches on that card. Obviously, he's been around the main event picture quite a bit this year. His friendship with Kevin Owens has produced some of the funniest moments this year. Just Jericho has reinvented himself and has provided something more than just solid in-ring work. He's provided those comedic moments that just help storylines along. At number 3, Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is the dark horse in WWE. He had a match of the year contender against Shinsuke Nakamura. He's had a match of the year contender where he was in that fatal 4-way at Extreme Rules for the Intercontinental Championship. He's had several match of the year contenders against Kevin Owens in one of the best feuds of the year. And then not only that, now he finds himself in a situation where he's feuding with Braun Strowman in a really interesting kind of feud. You don't know how it's going to play out. We don't know where it's heading. But I think that the stuff they're doing with Sami at the moment and the work he's doing with Mick Foley, where Foley's kind of like trying to protect him, but he doesn't want to be protected, and he wants to go after the big bully, if you will, Braun Strowman, and it's really, really interesting stuff. Have we got the next Daniel Bryan on our hands with Sami Zayn? At number 2, a man that was fighting Shinsuke Nakamura at the very start of this year, came up short, but then made his debut at the Royal Rumble. He is a man that I think most people would have at the top of their lists this year, and it is, of course, the phenomenal AJ Styles. What a way to finally enter the WWE than by doing it at the Royal Rumble, drawing an early number, sticking around for quite a long time, making that impression. And I think a lot of people were nervous that WWE would see him as a TNA guy and they would bury him, and there was definite danger of that, but they haven't. They've embraced him. They've put a rocket pack on him and they have sent him to the moon. You know, yes, he lost to Jericho at WrestleMania, but it was still a phenomenal match. He then goes on to have a match of the year contender against Roman Reigns, which I also think was at Extreme Rules. And then, you know, that amazing match against John Cena at SummerSlam, which he wins clean. Not many people beat John Cena clean. AJ Styles did it. And became the face that runs the place. And well, he really did when he won the WWE Championship from Dean Ambrose. That was his moment. That is when he really arrived. You didn't have to worry about WWE not treating this guy with respect as soon as he picked up those achievements. And, you know, he still is the current reigning, at the time of recording this, WWE champion, and really, you know, the shining light on SmackDown. The future is really bright for AJ Styles, one of the most athletic, if not the most technically gifted wrestler in the world today. AJ Styles arrived in 2016. So, who is number 1? Who is, in my opinion, the best wrestler of 2016? Well, I've gone with the person that I think has made the biggest difference, the most positive impact, the person that has really changed the game this year in WWE, and that person is Charlotte Flair. Now, before you all go switching off and tutting and telling me that I'm wrong, because I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, let me attempt to justify why I've gone with Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is not perfect, right? She has stumbled a few times on the microphone, and she has kind of really had to learn stuff as she's been going along on the main roster. She certainly didn't come onto the main roster in 2015 as this perfectly polished final, you know, performer. She was going to need to do a degree of still honing her craft on the main roster. She's only been wrestling for 3 years. Now, yes, she is the daughter of Ric Flair, which obviously massively helps and opens doors, but you've still got to be able to walk through those doors. And I would say she could do it in 2015, and then in 2016, she's learned to strut, and she is now styling and profiling her way through those doors, because she has got the swagger of a Flair and the swagger of a champion. She has been part of, and arguably the biggest part of, the women's revolution this year. She started the year as the champion, and she had a match against, or a feud actually, against Becky Lynch, which was a good feud, but the criticism was that her dad, Ric Flair, was constantly interfering and getting in the way, and it made Charlotte look like a weak champion. Charlotte, you know, ultimately gets rid of Ric Flair in a very dramatic, I don't need you anymore, you've never been there for me, kind of real dark promo that she cut in the ring. You know, she was savage to her dad crying, and it was a real moment this year when they kind of split apart. She was always kind of hostile towards Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke didn't add anything to that Charlotte character, but it did show that Charlotte wasn't going to mess around, wasn't there to, you know, just carry someone, and she was quite brutal with Dana at times. But it was the matches, it was in the ring that Charlotte really came through. Her feud against Natalya earlier in the year is one of the feuds of the year. I used to really look forward to their matches, and unfortunately there was still a lot of, you know, screwy finishes at the end of those matches, and it did take away from her achievements of still, you know, holding on to the title. At WrestleMania though, we got the best match on that card, which was the women's match, the triple threat. Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks stole the show, and Charlotte was a big part of that. The moonsault that Charlotte hit from the top turnbuckle onto the outside is one of the moments from this year's WrestleMania. And then not only that, you know, we go forward, we go into the brand split, and then we go into that feud with Sasha Banks. That is, for me, the feud this year. I can't imagine 2016 without Sasha Banks versus Charlotte. They broke new ground. You know, the first ever women to headline a WWE pay-per-view. The first women to ever compete inside of Hell in a Cell. The first women on the main roster, anyway, to have an Iron Man match. They just constantly were breaking new ground. I think even they might have been the first women to headline Raw, or at least I think Charlotte was this year. And it was just, it was amazing, because it wasn't a drag. It wasn't like WWE were forcing these women on us because they wanted to be seen as, you know, treating everyone equal. The women deserved it. The women earned it, and a large part of that is the work that Sasha and Charlotte in particular were doing. It is difficult to pick between Sasha and Charlotte, but for me, throughout this year, Charlotte has been ever present. You know, that feud in particular against Natalya just raises her above Sasha Banks. The women's revolution then is in fantastic hands, and it is being handled with flair. Awesome guys, thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already, I really would appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.